This episode brought to you in part by Amazon.com, your one-stop fan shop for all things NFL and, of course, Cleveland Browns. Hello, Internet, and welcome to whatever you think this show is called. I'm Savak, and today, just as the title implies, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns and the great expectations set forth mostly by the media. So before jumping into those expectations, I do have to address this interesting back and forth between certain members of the media and the players of the Browns, namely Baker Mayfield and more recently, Odell Beckham Jr. If you're not familiar with Colin Cowherd, don't worry, you don't have to be for this exercise, but the highlights are essentially, Colin is a sports radio show host and has been one of Baker's main detractors basically since Baker's name was floating around in the draft noise last year. Colin offered up some takes on the then polarizing Oklahoma quarterback, including
this whole thing about Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma quarterback. Here's something I just can't get over. There is a police video of Baker Mayfield running from cops in Oklahoma.
And culminating in,
there's a police video out of him. Look it up. He's running from cops. He's a quarterback. I'm done. Undraftable. Off my board. Can't draft him. Done. Can't draft him. Off my board.
Well, the joke ended up being on him as the Browns took Baker first overall. I thought it was interesting that John Dorsey knew Baker was his guy before John had even been hired to be the GM of the Browns. And of course, he has shown a willingness to take a chance on risky players if it benefits the team. For example, during his time with the Chiefs, he oversaw the drafting of both Tyreek Hill, currently being investigated for domestic abuse, and Kareem Hunt, suspended for 8 games following a video of him kicking a woman on the ground. Ironically enough, in Cleveland, where he is both from and now currently signed to play. But never mind all that. Just little snippets of Baker tells you everything you need to know. That man was born to be on the football field. That is his natural environment. The energy he brings, it's infectious. He just has that way about him, that people love. They gravitate towards it. He's a natural leader.
No negative plays and no penalties right here. Don't hurt ourselves, all right? Just do your job.
And of course, the man is just a quote machine.
I woke up feeling dangerous.
He says the kind of shit that looks good on coffee mugs and t-shirts. Links to both of those are in the description, by the way. And contrary to what Colin believes, Baker is in fact a franchise QB. He was built to be one. Perhaps not one we've seen before, but definitely one both the leagues and the Browns needed. Which takes me back to this most recent back and forth now with these guys. Colin has been taking shots at OBJ. Regardless of what the reason is for OBJ landing in Cleveland, he's there now, and that's it. Yet Colin can't help himself from calling into question OBJ's attitude and his willingness to work, and of course all of the issues on and off the field over his time in New York, to which both Odell and Baker responded. I believe Baker used the word clown, which is funny because, they were getting along for a little bit. Whatever, Colin responded on his show because all of this is good for ratings and it helps him, but that's all irrelevant. But it is refreshing that Baker is already coming to the defense of his teammate because he's the leader on that team and that's what he should do. And that sort of chemistry is conducive to winning, which brings us back to our original point. Is it fair to have such high expectations on the Browns in 2019? And I'd say yes. This time last year, the Browns were still a laughingstock. Yeah, they had drafted Baker and they traded for Jarvis Landry, but Hugh Jackson was still at the helm, guiding them deeper into the burning dumpster they had previously been known as. And the early results reflected that. But then Hugh Jackson was fired, and Todd Haley was fired, and Freddie Kitchens was promoted from running backs coach to offensive coordinator, and suddenly it all just started coming together. Needless to say, it surprised me a little when they relieved interim head coach Greg Williams of his job and replaced him with Freddie Kitchens. To me, all the talent in the world doesn't matter if you have the wrong coach in place. And to be honest, it was working pretty well with the system they had. Greg Williams is solid. And it's easy to understand why people wouldn't think that Freddie Kitchens, who had never been a head coach before or even a full-time coordinator, they didn't believe it would work. And neither did I. I was among these same people. But then I started watching Building the Browns. By the way, quick shout out to the Browns social media team taking that format of Hard Knocks and just reapplying it, to what's going on right now, the same way they did, just without HBO. Sheer brilliance. The Browns are must-watch TV right now, must-see TV, which is why I was watching, and just a few minutes into the first episode, I understood why Freddie Kitchens was made the head coach. He's friendly, he's personable, he's deliciously Southern. Check this out.
No, I'm not nervous. I learned a long time ago, if you just speak the truth, just tell them how you feel, you ain't got to be nervous. Why would you be nervous? I'm never going to say something I don't believe, and, I always believe what I say and say what I believe,
As you're walking up to the podium today, what entrance music would you use and why?
Well, let's say that, let me just tell you a story. All right, so I pitched at the University of Alabama also. Batters, when they come up to the plate, they have a theme song, and the pitchers come out, they have a theme song. And my theme song that I did not pick was Wild Thing. When I came out of the bullpen, I was a relief pitcher at Alabama my senior year, and they played Wild Thing. So, in saying that, it would not be Wild Thing. So, Southern Comfort Zone by Brad Paisley, kind of like, you move around in this business, and you and I both know how I sound, and my words don't sound the same sometimes as yours. So if you listen to the words of that song, Southern Comfort Zone, it's kind of sums me up,
But with all that going on, and because of all that, because of the pieces that they've added and the fact that Freddie Kitchens was made into the head coach, it's fair to levy those kinds of expectations on the team. And shit, Freddie basically said so himself when addressing everyone for the first time.
It's my pleasure to introduce the 17th head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Freddie Kitchens.
Thank you, John, for all those kind remarks. Hopefully everybody agrees with you. But, I really stress to John and everybody involved in this search and interviewing these coaches, I wanted a thorough search. I really wanted to compete against everybody. All right, since 1999, there's been ups and downs with this organization. And just like during the season, sometimes there's more ups and sometimes there's more down. There's been more downs than up, but that ends today. All right, I promise you that. Let's not fool ourselves. This game is about winning. Everything we do in the organization, from the football side of things and moving forward with the organization, we're together. If you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter. All right? This is the only organization that we care anything about is the one that we're at right now, and that's the Cleveland Browns. 7-8-1. It drives me crazy that people are happy with 7-8-1. It drives me literally crazy. And if I was in a different setting, my vocabulary would demonstrate that. We understand that was an improvement, but under no circumstances is that ever going to be acceptable. We only have one goal here, and that's to host the Lombardi Trophy. I went to the Super Bowl. I lost the Super Bowl. I never want to be in that position again, but every decision I've made since 2008 has been getting in position to do that. And I have been fortunate enough to be surrounded at this day and age, this time, right now, to moving forward in that direction. And that's all. Thank you very much.
It's hard to deny this dude's magnetism. Just like Baker, he has such depth to his personality that you can't help but love the energy.
No, John was supposed to wear his hat today too.
Which is why it struck me as odd that he backpedaled on the expectations a bit after the media started whipping up into a frenzy following the acquisition of OBJ. Because let's face it, it's the first time in a long time that the Browns have a contending roster on paper. They're loaded with superstars. This is good action. And I submit to Freddie, bro, steer into it. It's okay. You should want that pressure. Because just like the age-old saying, pressure makes diamonds. Okay? But what do y'all think? Are these expectations fair? Shouldn't they be holding themselves to that standard that appears to be there on paper? Do you believe in Cleveland? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Also, if you'd like me to tackle other topics or other teams again, let me know in the comments. Again, of course, don't forget to pick up your limited edition coffee mugs and t-shirts and other assorted Browns merch from the links in the description. And thanks for watching.